Welcome back to this Kyle's Garage. Welcome back, guys. In this video I will be replacing a wheel bearing on this Ford Focus. It will be the same on pretty much all the Ford Focus cars with minor variations for different generations. So let's begin. As you can see here, there's play in this bearing. Usually if you grab it from top to bottom, 12 and 6, and there's play, that means the bearing's bad. This usually doesn't, this will tell you too, but sometimes it moves something else in the back here, like a tie rod. You give a bad tie rod and it'll play also. So make sure nothing else in the back plays around, and make sure it's your wheel bearing. Now this caliper is two 15mm bolts. Take those off. And just slide this caliper off. And there's a hook over here. And lay it off to the side. Take that off. Take the tie rod off. It's a 16mm. Put the nut back on. It's flush with the stud. Give it a couple of whacks. She's off. Put that off to the side and let the nut fall on the floor. Now over here underneath the knuckle is a pinch bolt, and that's a 13mm right there. So put that, and over here there's a nut. It's a 9/16. And pop that off. Comes right out. OTC makes this tool. This is really cheap. It's on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below where to get that. You put that right there. Then you put a pry bar in here. Use this as leverage to pop this ball joint out, just like that. That's a 32mm axle nut. Pop her off. Woo! Okay, now I use the power of the clown finger and finger it out. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Sometimes you could just put a punch and just whack this like it owes you money, and it'll come right out. Or with an air gun, you could use a punch and that should come out. So now grab it from behind. Like that. You gotta pull this out and maneuver it out. Now I'm gonna pop the VSS off, the vehicle speed sensor. That's an 8mm. Slide it off here, and this just pops right up and out, just like that. Put that in the side. Take the end link off on top. That's a 17. And let that drop. Pop the brake hose off here, like that. And now the only thing you have left is on top. Now have somebody hold everything underneath to support it. Use a 13mm strut mount nuts over here. Take those off. That's that. Now if you look underneath, this whole thing comes right up, just like that. Alright, now we're going to put this in a vise. I got an 1 1/8" socket that fits right over here on top of the hub. So you want to press this out, and there's different ways of doing this. I'm going to try hammering it first. If that doesn't work, I have a press, so I could use that. So go ahead and do that first. Seems like it's working. Whoa! And it drops on the floor just like that, baby. Okay, now in here there's a big C-clip. Okay, so I'm just going to use these pliers. Then I'm going to use a little flathead over here just to pop it up. Hold on. Give it one more try. Okay, it's up. Now, use a flathead over here to go underneath it. Comes out like that. Now we're going to use this tool. This is from Amazon. I'm going to put a link in the description below. It's from TMS. It's a 23-piece wheel bearing removal and installation tool. This is what it looks like. I'll go ahead and remove this wheel bearing. Okay, so we want to push this through up this way. So you choose the right cylinder up here for the bearing to go through and the right top for it. Then what you want on the bottom is something that fits through, so you could push it right through. Then this goes on the bottom, and as you tighten this down, it's going to push this up in here. That's all there is to it. Put some butter sauce in here for the threads. Then I have a 32mm for the bottom and an adjustable for the top. And drive her home, baby. Alright, she's through. It's the bearing, folks. It's out. Alright, so I clean this up with some brake cleaner. It's nice and shiny. I'll put a little butter sauce in here too, just so everything goes in smoother. That's what you want. So this is what we're putting in from BXT. That's the part number, H510056. Made in China. And that's what the bearing looks like. This part over here goes on top where the vehicle speed sensor is. If you put this in wrong, your vehicle speed sensor is not going to work. So it goes in like this. Okay, now this one you got to find one of these that is exactly the outside diameter of this bearing, or else you're going to push this through, and you don't want that. So that's actually perfect right there. Make sure the bearing is sitting flush and not cocked. So we can put this over here, and then you can just put this flat piece underneath. And then on the bottom, and tighten this up, and it'll push the bearing right through. If you want, you could crank this down slowly by hand to start it, and then continue to crank her down. That should be good. So she wrote, as long as you can see the groove for the C-clip, then you're in. Now we're going to put one of these over here. Make sure it holds the whole thing. I put a little bit of butter sauce on this, the hub over here, and one of these goes down here, just like that. And this is going to go in through the bearing underneath. And this goes on top, and this goes on the bottom. Just like that. Start off by hand. And it looks like it's going in. So now I'm going to use the big bad boy. And now push the shaft in, baby. And we're good. And this is all in, ladies and gentlemen. She's in. That's that, and that's what that looks like. Now just put the C-clip in. Now put the C-clip in, and the open part of the C-clip has to be over here where the VSS sensor goes in. So let's see if we can get this in here. Probably going to need to use a flathead again. You just walk that in now. Just like that. And now, like I said, this opening of this should be over here. So just move it over. Just like that. And you're good. Next thing, put some fluid film on this, because sometimes this rusts and it's really hard to pop out the axle. Now put the whole strut back in with the hub. Now put this in.
Put on these nuts on the top.
These nuts! What the hell's going on over there? Oh yeah! And they're all tight. Once the car's down on the floor, with the wheel on, everything is done, I'm just going to go over these one more time, and we should be good. Now grab the axle and pop it in. She's in for now. I put the ball joint in too. Alright, lower the control arm. Push that all the way in. This goes in over here. And put the ball joint in the hole. Just like that. Alright, now I jacked up the car from the control arm here to push this bolt joint into the knuckle. Put the pinch bolt in and torque this down to 37 foot-pounds. We're good. Put the end link in, put the bracket, and tighten her down. Now put the VSS in. In she goes, nice and slowly. Then put bolt in, tighten her down. That's good. And put this in here. And that's good. Pop the tie rod in and tighten that down. If this turns the stud, you can also put a jack underneath to put pressure on this to keep it from turning, but I can use an Allen bit on this one. And that's good. This back on. And put the caliper back on. Caliper bolts are tightened. Put the brake line in too, over here. good. Okay, so I put 2 lug nuts here. Now we're gonna put the axle nut on. And we're gonna torque this down. Now I'm gonna put a punch in the middle where the vent is of the rotor. Hold on a second. So when I crank this down, it's gonna push against this and stop the whole rotor from turning. So I'm going and torque that down to 180 foot-pounds. Oh, baby! Oh, yeah! Woo! And now we're just going to spray this down with brake cleaner and clean this rotor from any grease. So that's how you replace a front wheel bearing on a Ford Focus. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, like me, and share me. See ya!